Sonic Lost World is a 3D platformer developed by Sonic Team and released on the Wii U in 2013. After enjoying Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations, I was confident Lost World would continue the trend of high-quality Sonic, and I purchased a Wii U along with Lost World shortly after its release. At first glance, Lost World appears quite similar to Nintendo's Mario Galaxy titles, with Planetoid-style level designs and a unique gravity gimmick. While on the surface this may be true, I find Lost World has much more in common with Sonic Colors from a gameplay standpoint. For me, this is a good thing. Sonic Colors just might be my favorite Sonic title ever. Like Colors, the story is wonderfully simple. Sonic and Tails are on a quest to free animals from the clutches of Eggman. We also get a behind-the-scenes look at how Eggman enslaves these animals into badniks, which is pretty cool. Eggman successfully tricks our heroes and they end up crashing into a sky world known as the Lost Hex. From here, the first level kicks off and everything feels new, yet strangely familiar. The world presented is absolutely gorgeous. It feels both modern, yet captures the feeling of the classic Sonic games quite well. There are plenty of checkerboard textures, the grass is green and lush, there are waterfalls, and even the flowers dance. It's a nostalgic nod to Sonic's past, while also introducing the new gameplay elements. Obviously, Sonic can run around this giant tube without fear of falling off. For me, this is a huge upgrade over titles like Adventure 2 and Heroes, which tested my patience with cheap bottomless pit deaths. This allows you to experiment with the new controls without fear of repercussion. The most controversial change is the run button. Like the original Mario titles, there is a dedicated button to increase the pace of our hero. In addition to running, there is a spin dash move, which I didn't find myself using often, but is crucial for speedrunners. Overall, I actually like both the spherical design and the controls. It's quite easy to control Sonic at high speeds, and the turning input feels spot on. Sonic is able to change directions in a deliberate way, and the tightness reminded me of the original Genesis titles. Also changed is the homing attack. You can now lock onto multiple enemies at once, and then watch Sonic take them all out with a single button press. As the game progresses, the homing attack is expanded somewhat. The homing attack can be charged up, delivering a more devastating blow, which is required for later enemies. Additionally, there is also an alternate kick attack, which again is required for some enemies. Things aren't perfect, however, and it's not always clear if you need to do a regular homing attack or one of the special moves. On a few occasions, I would take damage because I didn't let the attack charge up. Trial and error was always a part of the classic Sonic series, so it's not a huge deal, but can be annoying on the first playthrough. After completing the first level, the next plot element of Lost World is revealed. Eggman has enslaved 6 Zeddy to help him suck up all of the world's energy so he can become unstoppable. It certainly isn't deep, but has a nice Saturday morning cartoon feel to it. In a twist of fate, the Zeddy free themselves from Eggman's control. Sonic and company then team up with the Mad Doctor to restore order to the world. This creates some interesting dialogue between Sonic, Tails, and Eggman that I found enjoyable. The voice acting is excellent, the jokes are corny, and the story helps keep Sonic Lost World feeling light and fun without ever getting in the way. I couldn't ask for much more. Now is a good time to look at the hub world. After completing the first 3 zones, you move on to the 4th zone, which ends with a battle against one of the 6 Zeddy. Defeating the boss will open up the next section of the Lost Hex. The hub world does exactly what it should do, which is get you from level to level quickly while also letting you play a few bonus stages or grab some power-ups. The 6 worlds cover all the traditional landscapes you would find in a 90s platformer. After clearing through the lush green worlds of Windy Hill, you're off to the desert. Here, Lost World starts to force you to do a better job learning Sonic's new parkour moves. Basically, if Sonic is running fast enough, he can run along walls and perform some ninja-like acrobatics. Learning this isn't really required, though I suspect those who take the time to master the new moves are rewarded with extra lives and hidden red rings. I'm not much of a completionist, so it's something I just haven't put much time into. It's here, but isn't required for progression. One-off levels are also introduced during the desert zones. This honeycomb-inspired level is on autopilot, and you can't stop Sonic from running at full speed. It's an odd change of pace, and isn't really repeated at any other point in the game. I find its inclusion odd, but at the same time I didn't mind the change of pace. There's also a candy-inspired level, a clear nod to Sonic Colors, and completely random. Moving on, we find ourselves in Tropical Coast, which is another gorgeous set piece and the perfect location for Sonic to race through. At this point, you should have a good handle on Sonic Lost World's controls and gimmicks. The tube-like stages do a good job giving a 2D feel on a 3D plane, with straightforward jumps and multiple paths to traverse through. The level design is simple enough where getting lost isn't really a possibility, and Sonic Lost World does a good job blending both 2D and 3D platforming into one cohesive experience. There's also enough variety between the 2D style stages and the 3D style stages to keep the game from ever really feeling stale. New gameplay elements are introduced at just the right pace, and I feel like Sonic Team did a really terrific job with the level design. Moving on, we land in Frozen Factory. This serves as the mandatory ice stage. Controls are obviously slippery, though Sonic moves as if he's wearing skates when holding down the run button. It's a neat touch, but I've never been a big fan of ice physics. It sure is pretty though. A few more one-off stages are introduced here as well. The infamous snowball level slows the game's pace down, but I found it an enjoyable diversion. There is also a casino level, complete with pinball table. I'm not saying it's a good pinball table, but there is actually some semblance of physics here, unlike a certain other game. As the adventure crosses the halfway point, we are presented with the Silent Forest. Now is a good time to mention the grinding. I've never been a big fan of this gimmick in Sonic games. It has often been glitchy, tedious, and just not a lot of fun. It's definitely cleaned up a bit in Lost World, and rarely did I find myself missing a rail, but they still require far too much memorization for my tastes. On the flip side, there are some extremely clever moments. In this zone, you are basically on a spiral and slowly get closer and closer to the game's boss as the zone progresses. Something about seeing the end of the stage at all times is inherently cool, and it's clear Sonic Team had plenty of creative juice left when making the game. Another cool section is this stealthy area, where you must run and hide between bushes as a searchlight slowly scans the area. While stopping for a few moments isn't exactly Sonic's MO, I appreciate the diversity Lost World provides. As we near the finish line, we come to Sky Road. Here, your platforming chops are put to the test, trusting you've mastered the game's controls, Sonic's speed and momentum, as well as your platforming reflexes. Sonic Lost World succeeds at being challenging without being unfair. Gameplay elements are introduced, recycled, and evolve as the adventure progresses, and the difficulty curve feels about perfect. Here's a good time to talk about the 6 Zeti and their role as bosses. Each world has 4 zones, and the end of 2 of the zones will feature a boss fight. The first is usually somewhat easy, with the final fight being more difficult. Generally, these are pretty easy once you figure out the gimmick or the pattern. I did have fun figuring out the solutions to the puzzles presented, but these won't challenge most veterans. After defeating the 6 bosses, a final area is opened up, Lava Mountain. By this time, the 6 Zeti have successfully taken over Eggman's original device to suck up all of the Lost Hex's energy. In a touching scene, we even see Eggman save Sonic's life so the blue blur can save the planet. I won't spoil the ending, but it's both predictable and satisfying. As fun as Sonic Lost World is, my favorite part are all the nods to classic Sonic games. It's hard not to smile as you run along a nut as it spins up a bolt. The background of the desert has a heatwave effect, and another stage has you grabbing a handle to turn on the lights. Classic enemies are found throughout the adventure, and there are just enough loop-de-loops to make you feel like a kid again. Sonic Lost World also makes a few calls back to the Adventure series, with plenty of scripted moments where you sit back and let Sonic do his thing. It's a great nod to the past, with the new gravity gimmicks doing a good job helping Lost World stand on its own without simply rehashing everything. Finally, Lost World borrows the Wisp elements from Sonic Colors. They aren't a prominent feature, but break up the platforming at just the right moments. Of course, it wouldn't be a Sonic game without some outstanding music. Like always, Sega seamlessly utilizes a ton of different genres like jazz, pop, jungle, island, and even tracks that would sound at home in a 60s spy movie. The compositions are catchy, the tracks have plenty of layers and progression, and it's an absolute treat from beginning to end. Playing through Lost World for the first time in nearly 2 years, I actually found myself enjoying the game even more than I did in 2013. There is a learning curve to the controls, but they are precise, and making your way through the Lost Hex is an enjoyable experience. There are moments where the homing attack feels a bit off, but generally speaking, Lost World is almost completely free of bad programming and sloppy design. Sonic Team was on their A game here, and Lost World has a level of polish I think will stand the test of time. It is worth noting I still can't stand the grinding levels, and Lava Mountain Zone 2 is extremely frustrating. But as a whole, Lost World is terrific from start to finish. I appreciate the variety, and though some of the diversions work better than others, it's about what you would expect from a modern 3D platformer. Sonic fans are perhaps the most demanding fanbase of any game franchise, but I feel Lost World strikes the perfect balance of old and new. Sonic maintains his trademark speed while blending in elements of 2D and 3D platforming, wrapped in what is probably the best looking Sonic game to date, with a soundtrack not far behind. While it stumbles just a bit here and there, it's still an unbelievably fun adventure. 4 out of 5.